Part One-on-One with Mr. Burgher.
Welcome to another episode of Art One-on-One. I'm Nichole Jordan, your pod boss, alongside Mr. Burgher, your professional artist and master educator.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. This video will be our first video for obviously the month of June.
Okay.
And it's like summertime.
Yeah, we're like halfway through the year.
Halfway through the year. It'll be interesting to see as the summer picks up. It'll be interesting to see where things go with the podcast.
I thought you had a plan that you were not telling us about. At one point.
I do.
So it's not interesting to you, it's just interesting to me?
I do have a plan.
Okay. Well, why is it interesting then? Or why will it be interesting? Because your plans aren't really like detailed plans.
If you wait till the end of the podcast, I will tell you the plan.
Today, at the end of the podcast.
Today. This episode, I will share with you I'll even write it down in my little notebook.
So hang around to the end of the podcast.
What do I write this down as? The
finale. It's the finale talking about.
I don't think it's the finale
of today.
But it's the mystery box of art.
The mystery box of art. You like to leave people guessing.
It's a cliffhanger. I let you on the edge of your seat.
Okay. But yeah, at the end of this episode, we will discuss the upcoming thing.
Plan.
Your
plan. Isn't that something you should discuss with me maybe before?
No.
I don't. I mean, I am the pod boss. I don't get a say in that.
But it's not pod owned materials. It does not fall under the umbrella of pod, of which you're a boss. Which
I'm not very good at controlling you, by the way.
That's why you're the pod boss.
I know, but I haven't been very good at that.
Because I'm like a bull in the china shop. I'm just raking havoc however I want.
You get sidetracked a lot. I mean, with good intention and with good information, you have a lot of interesting stuff in your head.
It's just trying to get the interesting stuff out and siphoning out the stuff that's not quite so interesting. Which is why like in a normal Art 101 video, I'm able to siphon out, oh man, I went talking about this story for a long time, chop that thing out. But, like in this one, that happens, to be fair, that has happened in several episodes of this, which is why we have to keep a little bit better track of our time. So we're not making a 5-hour long podcast.
It's not more work for me, it's more work for you. So.
That's exactly why we don't want to have a 5-hour long podcast.
All right, well then maybe we should get started with the first video that we're going to talk about from this past week.
Perfect. What do you want to talk about first?
How about planning a Picasso?
Plan a Picasso.
Planning a Picasso.
Yeah. Picasso did lots of preparatory work to get ready for his major works. Works like Guernica, which was a very large mural-type painting. He did lots and lots of things. I went to the Reina Sofia Gallery in Spain several years ago. And before you get to the major gallery where they have the Guernica, which is this huge anti-war type painting that Picasso did after a little town in Spain was bombed by the leader, dictator type guy of Spain at the time, and who was buddies with a not so nice guy from history. Historical guys. It was a guy by the name of Adolf Hitler.
Oh, okay. Well, I do know that.
And he used his Luftwaffe, which was his major air force, to do saturation bombings of this little town, and basically wiped them out. And it was shocking, and people were very concerned about the whole thing. And then shortly thereafter, World War II would break out. But anyway, in preparation for this large painting that was going to be the cornerstone of the World's Fair Art Pavilion, he did a lot of preparatory sketches and plans, and he did these very, very quickly because he didn't have a whole lot of time to mess around. But
very, very quickly, as in
days,
months.
Yes, I mean I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't know. Within days of hearing the news, he was making work. He was making sketches. He was making plans. Those plans were evolving and shaping, and even as he started the project, he was still reshaping and reorganizing things as he was painting on the canvas. So, very interesting process from the beginning idea to the end product. A lot of similarities, but a lot of alterations along the way. But the work that we talked about, or that I talked about in the video, was Ladies of Avignon, which he did several plans and preparation type sketches for as well. So I mean,
where's that piece of art at now?
I think it's at the Museum of Modern Art, but I'm not. I might be wrong. But that's a very important piece. We've talked about.
Yeah. Isn't the one we talked about naked versus nude, or no?
Right. That's it. That's the one. It's the same one. Yep. Yeah. That's it.
I remember.
That's all I can expect you to do, is just try to remember a little bit. And if you walk away with just a little bit of information, a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of, hey, that's a decent conversation, then we're doing our job.
There you go.
You know, people around the world are listening to this foolishness.
That's right, in Wisconsin.
Yes. Make sure you say hello to my good friends at the University of Wisconsin Superior.
He doesn't have his shirt on today. He's got Art 101 attire. I don't.
Pull out your checkbook.
That should be part of my perks for...
That's not your perk.
Let's move on and talk about Grace Robertson next. She was a 1950s photojournalist. Well, became popular in the 1950s.
Yeah. Photojournalist, yeah.
Interestingly enough, not really under her own name.
She didn't start using her own name, but, I mean, it was very quick that she started using her own name, but to get her foot in the door, no, she did not.
That's interesting.
I mean, her dad was at the same place, so name recognition, you know, nepotism, people frown upon that, even in the 50s.
Well, it was a male-dominated market.
And using a man's name, using a male name.
Yeah.
A male-sounding name, which, again, she's certainly not the first female to use a male's name, nor would she be, I mean, she's not the first person to use the opposite gender's name to, you know. Become popular
before they knew
right.
She was a woman.
Correct.
I
I wouldn't say she was really popular using that name, but that's how she got in the door.
Okay. So she got herself in the door and then quickly switched it over.
Correct.
That'd be an interesting conversation.
Right.
Kind of an I told you so moment, maybe?
Perhaps. I don't know. I never asked her.
I see.
I don't know. But definitely a fascinating character, and she took some really great photographs and did some really revolutionary things. Probably, in my mind, and I don't know. I don't know if this is true for everyone, but I think that in my mind, probably the most cutting edge series that she did was on childbirth, where she was taking photographs of deliveries and stuff like that before. I mean, men weren't even allowed in the room when these things were happening, and she's in there taking photos of it and putting it in a publication and publishing these sorts of things. And I think that it's kind of an interesting thing, and she kind of started to squeak the door open a little bit on this being a little bit more acceptable. And I mean, like now in the world, I mean, it's very common for a father to be in the room while their child's being born, or things like that going on.
Yeah, but that was not popular at that time, or allowed at that time. She had a lot of, she pushed the boundaries on quite a few things, but I think she could do that because her photos were, looking at her photos of motherhood and just ordinary women doing different things, fun things, motherhood.
Yeah, well, girls just want to have fun.
Well, that was one of her most popular pieces.
It was a very popular series.
Mother's Day Off.
It was a very popular series. And and not that she had several series, and some were more popular than others. She did a whole series on sheep shearing.
I did not know that.
But it didn't have the oomph necessarily that deliveries did, or the cutting edgeness of the moms going out running amok as vigilantes around town, riding roller coasters and drinking and having fun. Because who wants to see their mom out having fun? Like, okay, you and your friends are going to go out and run around. We're going to take a bunch of photographs of it and put it in a magazine. Would you be a little bit, I'm not maybe going to act the way I would maybe want to act if there wasn't somebody taking a bunch of photos of me?
I would absolutely want, if I'm out having fun and there's other women doing it, and I could get photographed, and like other women would want to do that and be comfortable doing that, I'm all about it.
So you would want to be photographed? Sure. You wouldn't care? It would not hinder you'd be just as wild with somebody taking pictures as not?
I think so. Not maybe 10 years ago, but now I would.
Okay.
I think age has a little bit to do with that. Being confident in who you are has a little bit to do with that. And those women apparently were. Well,
and if anybody needs a good coach through that, they can find you on YouTube.
That's right.
And
that's right. That's exactly what I do.
And so helping people overcome those things, or have the experience, or the frame of mind, or somebody to talk to about those things, or the nutrition, or the what, I don't know what all it involves.
All the things: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, all the things.
Yeah. So Soulful Living Coach is where they can find you.
Yes, it is.
And that's right up there at the top of the screen. And if you're not on the YouTube, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but there's a little dangly that comes down, and you click on that and it sends you places. But if you're like listening to this on Spotify, well, you're
not going to get that.
You're not going to get that.
Yeah.
So it's you have to pick your platform, and it's not bad.
Maybe you don't want to see us, so you do the Spotify
You
route.
do the Spotify. Well, this is what I would encourage people to do. If you're in your car and you're commuting, listen to it on Spotify, and you want to see the pictures, you want to see the the other information and the other videos. Jump over to YouTube or Instagram or wherever and check us out on other platforms. But it doesn't hurt to encourage people to check us out in more than one spot.
True.
It doesn't hurt.
I just want to point out, but that is what I love about Grace Robertson. I think that she pushed boundaries, and I think that's what art can do for a lot of things, like change. It brought about allowing those pictures of, motherhood and women having fun. And I think that created opportunity for change, which I think is a huge thing that art can impact. And I mean, that kind of can lead us into our next video, unless you're not ready to move on.
We can move right on. We can just keep on trucking.
Well, because Vonnegut is our next video.
Kurt Vonnegut.
And I was a little bit, so there's Kurt Vonnegut Sr. and Jr.
Right.
One is a writer. What is the other one?
His dad?
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I was thinking it was going to be this artist when I started doing
No. He's a
the
writer.
research, and then I was confused. So he's not an artist.
So, well, he's a literary artist.
Okay. Is that a real thing?
Sure. You don't think that writing a book takes artistry?
No, I'm just wondering, is that
I mean,
is that a legitimate title?
You were at one point or another an English major.
You're going to say that.
But the fact of the matter is that I think that there is more than one. Like, if you search on the interwebs artist, more times than not, artists don't show up under artists. You have musicians that show up as artists. And then you'll have, sometimes you can find actors and actresses or playwrights or writers and other forms of things. And again, there are other definitions and other vocabulary words that maybe better describe an actor or a writer or a novelist or whatnot. But with artists, a lot of times musicians will pop up, and or Prince, because he was known as the artist formerly known as when he was in his big dispute with Warner Brothers. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This quote that we're using is from an excerpt from something he wrote to a class, right? A classroom?
I don't know exactly what the origin
How
of
do you not know this when you're posting about it?
Because I thought it was a good quote. I thought it was topical. I liked the quote. I didn't decide, hey, I'm going to research where these words came from, other than they came from Kurt Vonnegut.
Well, you should, because it's an interesting story. Like, he's responding to a classroom and a teacher, and he talks about to practice art, even if it's good or bad, it's a way to make your soul grow. And he talks about art being music, dancing, acting, drawing, whatever form of art. But I mean, he was basically telling the kids, do this as much as you can, even if you're bad at it, or write a letter to your teacher. Like, that was part of what he wrote was, draw something for your teacher. Even if it's good or bad, they're going to appreciate it. It's going to make you grow. It's going to make her grow. It doesn't really,
you say teachers as a her. I'm a male teacher.
Well, I didn't realize that I said that. Any teacher, but he was writing to, I think it was maybe it wasn't a female teacher. I could be wrong.
It doesn't.
But if you, if you get a chance,
is irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying. But no, I did not do all the research as to where it came from. I just liked the thought of what he was saying, as I like many of the thoughts that he says. Slaughterhouse-Five was a little bit dark.
A book that he wrote.
Yeah. But anyway, to the point of what we're talking about with art, I think that's true. That a lot of times I get students saying, well, I don't want to take art. Well, why do you not want to take art? Well, I don't want to take art because I'm not good at it. And my comment to them is, oh, did you know a whole lot about chemistry before you took chemistry? Did you know a whole lot about trigonometry before you took trigonometry? Did you know a whole lot about any subject that you take? And you know a whole lot of Spanish before you take Spanish? Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but you don't take it because you know it. You take it because you want to learn it or get better at it or improve on it for whatever reason. And I think the same thing gets lost with art. Kids think, adults think, people think, I'm born this way. I'm not born an artist, which is complete bullshit. People are not born literate. People are not born artists. People are not born creative. People do things because there's a trend. I got into art because my parents said, hey, we're going to these boat shows. My dad was a high school shop teacher, but he also owned his own business. And so we would go to these boat shows. So some of my earliest memories were sitting at a local Des Moines mall. Merle Hay Mall.
Popular place.
Sitting in the middle, and this is when it was brand new.
Okay.
In the 70s. Sitting in the mall with 2 or 3 boats parked in the middle of the mall, because there's a big wall that opens up and you can drive cars and boats and trucks and things. And my dad drove the boats in to the mall, and we had the boats parked in there, and then he would like put a little thing and he would talk to people about boats and motors and things. Well, it was my mom and my dad and my sister and me. And my sister was 7 years older, so she was probably old enough to walk around the mall a little bit. So she would have been like 12, 13. And at that time, it wasn't a big deal for her to walk around the mall. Where, me, being, very young, I was not allowed to do that. So my parents had to find a way to entertain me. So what they do, they got me some markers and some pens and some coloring books and crayons and all these art supplies and said, here you go, kid. So I just started making stuff and coloring stuff and doing stuff. And I had my 18 coloring book, and I had I think the biggest crayon pack that they made back in those days was like 64. And it was like the triple decker type thing, and it had the little sharpener in the back.
Yes.
And I thought I was the big stud of the city because I was sitting in a boat doing coloring book pages and activity books. And anyway, but that was encouraged. Now there are genetic components to that too. So people argue that there's got to be a genetic component. And to me, there is a genetic component. One of my ancestors, blood relatives, was the creator of the teddy bear.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And the Steiff company came from my family. The originator of the Steiff product in Germany comes from my bloodline. Now, does that mean that I'm genetically inclined to be an artist? I don't think so. Is it because I was nurtured as a child and given opportunities to make art? I don't think so. I think maybe both play a part into who I am, obviously, but one does not supersede the other. And if we haven't had those opportunities, if we allow ourselves to have the time to make those opportunities, we can always improve at it.
Right.
I wasn't the most athletic kid in the world, but I got better at being a better athlete, because I spent all my time coloring. So I couldn't be a big-time stud softball player. I couldn't become a big-time volleyball champion.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't become, I was not outside playing those types of sports like some people.
It's about time to start wrapping up here. So I think you should probably tell us about where we're going. Our surprise that you talked about earlier.
I wrote down in my notes that there is a
you said
mystery box of art.
Yes.
And so, yes, mystery box of art. So I have a very ambitious project ahead of me this summer. The summer is, how long is the summer? 3 months?
3 months.
Okay.
For you, June, July.
So you're
August.
looking at roughly 90 days.
That is 3 months.
Right?
Yes.
Now, one of my favorite artists of all time, maybe not my favorite, but definitely in the conversation. As a matter of fact, I invited him to dinner.
Oh, your 12-person dinner?
And his name is Vincent van Gogh.
Okay.
Vincent van Gogh. To you non-Dutchers out there. And Vincent van Gogh, at the end of his life, which was very, very sad, Vincent van Gogh created some 75 works of art, finished works of art, the last 70 days of his life. And the last 3 days of his life were in a coma. And so, I mean, he was making lots and lots and lots of work in a very...
Did he know he was dying?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't want to get into it.
I just asked if he knew he was dying.
But, I mean...
Yes is the short answer.
Yes is the short. Yes is the short.
Which I know you're not good at short answers. But.
Yes is the short answer.
Okay, so
and
75 works.
So he made 75 works the last 70 days of his life. And I think I've got 90 days of the summer. I've got things to do. I'm going to be taking some classes. I'm going to be making some videos. I'm going to be doing some vacation. I'm going to be doing some relaxation. I'm going to be doing some recharging of the battery, so to speak, but also prepping for the next school year. As an educator, that's what we do. And I also am going to have a couple of my children with me for a good stretch of the summer. And I haven't seen them, so I want it to be valuable time. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like artistically I make videos like this, I make podcasts like this, I do these things as artistic expressions, but they're artistic expressions of others, where I don't really do a lot of artistic expression of myself. So, I have set a challenge for myself. This summer, I want to make, over those 90 days, I want to make 70 pieces of work. I'm not going to hold myself to, I once tried it, to make 70 works in 70 days. I got 5.
You're a little off of your
because to start a work and finish it in a day, boom, that's good. But to sustain that for a week, holy smokes, then go a month, 2 months, 2.5. I mean,
this seems like a pretty ambitious.
It's a very ambitious goal. It's a very ambitious goal, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it. But the thing is, I feel like I've read a lot of books about artists and what they do and how they get better. And there's always these things that I read about artists, and they say, you know, when you start to tell other people, I'm an artist, I'm making art, I'm doing art, I'm selling my art, then you're holding yourself accountable, but now people know about it. I know about it. You know about it. My pod people listen to it. They know about it.
You're his accountability partner, basically.
My YouTube people, they know about it. They're going to say, hey, how's the work coming? Hey, how's it going? What are you doing? Hey, you're falling behind. What are you doing there? And then I'm going to look like a jackwagon if I don't at least get close. If I last 5 days when it was internal, and it was secret, and it was on my own, and I was my only accountability was myself. 5 days was fine, and nobody knew the difference. But now, I feel like I'm putting it out there. I'm going to document this. I'm going to document all of these onto my TikTok account. I will make a video every single day on the work that I made that day. And it might not be a long video. And then once I get all 70 done, then I will make a long format video showing all of the works on YouTube. So you'll see them all on TikTok, and then eventually they will migrate to YouTube.
So do you have plan for like the pieces that you're
I
doing?
do. So if you go to my TikTok account and you search for Art 101 with Mr. Burgher, all one word, and you do a search for that, you'll find me, and you will see some artworks that I've made where I do drawings on a map. And so I have a old 1976, dyslexic moment there, 1976 Webster's Atlas, which was a big, like a 9x12 book. I came across this book at a rummage sale, and I've sliced the book into individual pages of maps.
Ah, okay.
And I'm going to do a the series is called Pop Culture on Webster's 76 Atlas hyphen, and then there's each one has its own title. So I've done 5 already that I've done previously, and this will be a part of that series, and so it will be a series of 75. There will be 75 works in the series, the 70 works that I make over this summer, and the 5 works that I made previously to prepare for these 70 works.
And what is this having to do with the podcast?
It has nothing to do with the podcast other than that's my accountability. Like, I can show the artworks and say, okay, this week this is what I've gotten done, or here's the things, and if people want to purchase these, they can contact me because they will all be eventually up for grabs.
All right.
So that's the big news.
Exciting stuff.
On what I'm doing.
Big goals.
And I think that because I want to be not just talking about art, but actually producing art. And I haven't held myself accountable. I haven't been doing it the way I think I should as a professional artist and master educator. I've been leaning a little bit hard on the master educator.
Yes.
But we do what we do.
Times are changing.
Up and going.
All right. Well, that's exciting. Well, we better wrap this up.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody for their thing and following along. And you can find us on social media all over the neighborhood. Here's a bunch of links. You know, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Fortnite. I mean, I don't know. Is that social media?
No.
I don't. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can find me all over the place. And
help us out by subscribing. There's still a lot of you out there that aren't subscribing.
And the vast majority of people that are watching and interacting with the content are not subscribing. So it does go a long way when 90% of the people watching are watching the whole video, but they're not subscribing. That, come on, man. You got it. And it's free.
Right.
It's free entertainment.
Entertainment it is. All right. Well, everybody have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for indulging us.
Yes.
See ya.